And it's so easy to get sucked into what the social media presents as this major problem. I don't trust everything that happened in the pandemic. There was something super shady going on there. Thanks be to God, that's behind us. But what's coming next? And can we trust the media to tell us what's right? What's just? What's healthy? What's the right thing to do out of love for your neighbor? Can we trust the media? I don't think so. I don't. So there's so much trying to shepherd us, and so much of what's shepherding through mass communication, because the majority of the media, vast majority of it, I mean, if I were to give a percentage, at least 95% of the media and higher education, the majority of universities, including Catholic ones, there's only a few Catholic universities that are really grounded in their identity in Jesus Christ and His grace and truth, living it. But the majority of all these other things have been hijacked by this system of lies. And who's the father of lies? We know who that is. He's the number one. The father of lies is the ultimate thief and murderer. And he's not even hiding as it was before. Archbishop Sheen, Venerable Archbishop Sheen would say, when God revealed His identity to Moses on Mount Sinai, He said, I am who am, Yahweh, Anahu. His supreme being, the source, the summit of all existence, fullness of reality in life. This is the nature of God, whose essence is to exist without beginning or end. Jesus says, I am the gate. Satan says, I am not. He wants the world to believe he's just a myth. He's just part of Christian baggage. This, what they portray as a false narrative, as if the church invented the idea of the devil in order to control and gain power out of fear tactics, to manipulate, to take from the sheep their goods for their own advancement. But now, the enemy doesn't even hide his existence. He puts on a new mask and makes it seem like it's just secular humanism. And Satanism is just a politically correct movement that is gaining prominence of acceptance on social platforms, just as this weekend in Boston is the biggest satanic conference ever to take place in public, in a Marriott hotel. The Marriott Hotel this weekend is hosting Satan Con, the biggest collection, gathering of Satanists throughout the world. And it's utterly public. And if you were to interview or to talk to one of these persons, some just think of it as a secular humanism, a radical anarchy of rebelling against everything that Christian morals and faith stands for. But then there's others who are the real spiritists who realize the full agenda. And they know what they're about. And if you ask any of these people, they are totally in favor, 100% in favor, with all of the values, the moral values of the culture war that we can't compromise with. Not because we're self-righteous, because we're better than them, we're not. At the end of the day, we're all sinners in need of mercy. We're all wounded, in need of a physician. But we are believers in the truth, and that God is real, He is love, and in His love He reveals the truth. He makes known to us what is morally good and what is morally evil. And so to be able to see past the smokescreen of social media propaganda by all the false shepherds out there, to be able to identify the difference between the voice of God, the Lord, and the voice of the world, to know between lies and truth, light and darkness, good and evil. And every one of those Satanists are 100% behind abortion, gay marriage, one world religion, euthanasia, all of these things that are considered part of progress according to the left. I saw also this weekend, or this past week, it was Friday, with my father. I took him to go watch Nefarious. And that Nefarious, if you haven't heard about it, I highly recommend you watch this while it's still on theater, and if not, find it on Netflix. It's a profoundly provocative, impacting movie about an atheistic psychologist who's interviewing a person on death row who's pleading insanity in order to avoid the death penalty. And the psychiatrist has to interview him to identify whether or not he really is insane and can avoid the death penalty, or he's just bluffing. This is all just part of his plot to stay alive and to dodge the bullet. And in the course of this conversation, he's dialoguing with the demon that took possession of this person. And in the course of this conversation, the demon expresses so many things that reflect the truth of the victory of the cross and their plot to try to destroy culture and humanity as the only way to get back at God. These are the ultimate thieves. And other thieves, and without focusing on the darkness, without trying to curse the darkness, but one other thing to be aware of, and I know for me this was my downfall growing up as a kid, because I didn't grow up with my father, so I didn't have a shepherd in my life to teach me, especially a father figure who's so important, to teach me right from wrong and live it out. And so because I didn't have this father figure, what did I look to as my role models? In the beginning, it was sports superstars, but then it was people in the music industry, and somewhat less in the movie industry, but especially music, because it's so powerfully influencing of our consciousness, our mindset, our mentality, and lifestyle. And so much of Hollywood and the music industry is run by Satanists. And they really have a stronghold in that department. I don't believe that's a conspiracy theory. They would want you to think that. But it's very real. And we have to be able to realize who the shepherd is from the phonies and the fakes who want to steal and to destroy our souls and the soul of this country, who only want to destroy the family. In the face of this, we need to be grounded in the truth of who our shepherd is, Jesus Christ, and to be more intentional disciples, to be more hardcore in knowing who the Lord is and knowing his love so deeply that we're willing to lay down our life for him. To know his love so deeply that it becomes the center of your identity, and that you are willing to die for the Lord who died for you. Our faith needs to reach that level because things are heating up. And we honestly don't know how much longer we're going to be blessed in this country with religious liberty. We still have a lot of amazing rights here. As bad as it is, we're still so much better off than so many other countries. But we don't know how much longer that's going to last, because there's this takeover going on. And we got to make sure that Jesus Christ takes over us. Jesus says, the Psalm 23 says, "The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want." And so I have to personalize that in order to be centered in him. The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. In other words, he's going to take care of me. I'm not going to go without need. I'm not going to be, what I really need is different than what I want. And he's going to see to it that he supplies for all of my needs if I put him first. If I put him first and not sports, not vacation, not my own entertainment, not my own comfort, pleasure, not even my family, but when I put him first, he will make sure that I am lacking nothing of what I truly need and is essential. I shall not want. Therefore, I can let go of a lot. I can let go of worry. I can let go of anxiety. I could let go of fear. because I know who's in charge. I know who's got my back. And he's even in charge over and above everything going on behind all that's going on in the culture war. The globalists can do nothing to accomplish their agenda without God's permission. And when God permits it, it's because he knows he can redeem it, because he has the vision in mind of the victory. That's the only way the enemy can get away with an inch in making any inroads and of infiltration in the church and the world. The Lord is in charge, and he's got my back. He's taking care of me. I shall not want. Even though I walk through a dark valley, even though things are looking bad and bleak, I will not fear any evil, because greater is he that is with me and in me than he that is in the world. With your rod and your staff, which we can interpret to be by the victory of the cross and the power of your word, you will give me courage. You will build up my heart to not be discouraged, to not focus on the evil or the problem, but to focus on your presence, which is greater than any mountain that I have to overcome with you. Your cross and your word give me courage to not fear, and to know that ultimately only your goodness, your kindness will follow me, will prevail over me every day of my life. No weapon of the enemy formed against me shall prosper. Isaiah 54:17. Your will, which is love and mercy itself, will prosper, will possess me, will take possession of who I am, and will provide me glory for ashes, will provide me abundance when I abandon myself to you. Therefore, even if any of us are privileged to be able to die for Jesus Christ, that is a huge privilege. What a blessing. In this life, it sounds scary. It sounds crazy. But when we see reality for what it is on the other side of the veil, we'll realize that there's no greater way to leave this world than to be more united to the way he left this world and to do it for him. There's no greater glory than that. And to know that whatever harm they may be able to do physically to our body, if we live long enough to go through something like that, they can't hurt our souls. There's nothing essential they can take away from who you are. They can take away your job. They can take away your privileges. They can take away your credit. They can take away your ability maybe to shop. They can take away your cars. Who knows? But they can't take away your identity as a beloved child of God. They can't take away God's love in your life and in your heart and soul. They can't take away anything of who you will be for all eternity. Therefore, the harm they can do is little compared to the abundance of what God wants to give. Only goodness and kindness will follow us all the days of our life. He who spoke the first word will have the last word and bring good out of everything. This is the gift of having Jesus Christ as our shepherd. Nothing can ultimately harm us, but his abundance is promised us. And no one can take away that. No one can steal that if we don't let him.